Welcome to the 5th Online Ram Nadi Festival. As a part of our ongoing efforts to protect and remember this endangered river of Pune, we are pleased to bring to you stories from its banks. This elusive water body is constantly under threat and needs efforts from all stakeholders to preserve its sanctity. School children and teachers, researchers, residents in its vicinity, elected representatives, and many others have been part of the mission to save the Ramnadi. And so, every day, we wake up with the dream of a flowing, clean, and alive river. With the 5th Ramnadi Festival, we open for you the window to our dream, delving into diverse aspects of river restoration and the Ramnadi's undulating journey. Dr. Shrinivas Vadagbalkar, a geologist with a focus on hydrogeology, has dedicated his life to water conservation in several forms. As a hydrogeologist, in rainwater harvesting, and as a researcher with over 70 national and international research papers and projects. He has ensured his work is carried on by the future generations through his service as a principal and professor of geology and geochemistry from Dayanand Institutions, Solapur, for 39 years. A key member of Jal Biradri, he provides expert guidance on river rejuvenation, groundwater issues, and saline soil solutions. Recognized by the Maharashtra government, he advises on water crisis and conservation efforts across India, contributing to sustainable solutions for farmers, institutions, as well as communities. For his extensive work on ensuring our water heritage is protected, we are honored to confer the title Ram Nadi Sevak Sanman upon him. This award will be given to him by one of India's pioneering ecologists, Madhav Gadge. Dr. Shrinivas Vadagbalkar has joined us for the inaugural speech of the 5th Kirloskar Vasundhara Ram Nadi Festival.
Ram Nadi, which originates around at 900 meters from the different sources, and from the different sources it starts plunging down towards the northern side, and at Khatpewadi comes down into a small pond which is called as a Khatpewadi pond. After that, in Manas Lake at Bhukum, a large storage, nearly double to triple of Khatpewadi pond. So this particular Manas Lake is essentially coming at the lower plateau level, is around 670 meters, and the Khatpewadi Lake is around 720 meters of the particular level. That lake is used for the drinking water utility of the surrounding villages, as well as this particular water is also used for the agriculture also. After around 7 kilometers, it is essentially going into the Pashan region through Baudhan region. Now at Baudhan, there is a special change in the formation conditions, and we are getting the lava flow which are having the separation of the massive lava flows and the relatively softer lava flows, and therefore plunging and rapids and all these particular things are essentially observed. And here we are getting the start of the widening of the valleys of the Ram Nadi. Before the floodplain, at the height of around 600 meters, we are getting a good construction of Pashan Lake during the British regime. 40 feet wide storage of the Pashan Lake, 4 times the storage of Manas Lake, and therefore this particular water which was used for the then agriculture also, and mainly for drinking purpose and for the other society purpose. After the storage, nearly the river became dry. More faster urbanization probably has taken place because of the dryness of the river after the Pashan Lake. And this has essentially given a cause for the more and more urbanization. And therefore, it is important to now say that earlier, right from its origin, the Ram Nadi exists, and this Ram Nadi should exist up to the confluence point of the Mula River. Presently, Ram Nadi is facing the problems of not only the encroachment or the shrinking of the river, but it is essentially facing the problem of the large amount of pollution. And this pollution is specifically an urban pollution. And therefore, it is essentially to have an people's education. We call our river as our mother river, but we don't respect accordingly. So it is necessary for the people, right from the child to the senior most, that we must respect our river and we must see that we are not polluting the river water in any way. When we are talking about the springs are essentially found at the contacts of the different lava flows, where the softer lava flows are meeting the lower massive lava flows. At the contact of these particular massive and the softer formation, we are getting the emergence of the springs. In Baudhan areas, in Bhukum area, in the Pashan area, also we are getting these particular springs in different areas. So these particular springs, they are to be preserved, and we must work on these particular springs, and so that their particular intimacy will remain constant, and we will get the good amount of storage of the water into the particular river. It is important to raise the groundwater level which has gone down, and therefore the river water is also going down and the river is becoming dry after the winter season. And that is the particular reason the societies or the urbanization which is specifically sprawled in and around the river basin must have the different trenches. It must have the groundwater percolation recharging, different methodologies, and that particular should help, or that should be given priority by the administration and by the organizations and by the different society holders also, so that the each drop of the water is taken down into the ground. When we work hand in hand and we have an holistic approach for the cleaning or the rejuvenation of the river, then only it is possible for us to get the best out of the particular river and to get the best of our future for our future generation. That is our main aim.
Dr. Vijay Paranspe and several locals living on the banks of the Ram Nadi take a walk down the memory lane. They reminisce of a time till the 1970s when the river did not have any sewage, plastic, or chemical pollutants and was clean enough to drink from. The river was an integral part of people's lives to swim in, for agriculture, and so much more. These are unimaginable conditions now, aren't they? Let's hear from the fortunate people themselves and also possible solutions to go back to this blue past.
Right up to 1985 that I could drink directly from Ramnadi. This was in the Baudhan areas. We had a little house there and some farm. Till the 1960s, most of the rivers were clean. It was only after the 1965, let's say 1970, that the river started getting polluted. More because that was the beginning of the industrial era in Pune. Hardly any sewage actually entered the river. And chemical fertilizers were not being used in agriculture. In the 60s and early 70s, there was hardly any plastic used. And chemical fertilizers were not being used in agriculture. And that's why, very rarely were they used. And that's why the rivers were clean. The sewage which was released by the villages, which are a bit far from the main river, had just about enough sewage for it to get soaked up or, percolate down into the groundwater. So hardly any sewage actually entered the river. The population started growing both in terms of natural growth and migration of the Gauthan population.
पाषाणला एकमेव नदी म्हणजे रामनदी आणि रामनदी म्हणजे आमचं बालपणाचं वैभव. पाषाणचं जे प्रसिद्ध तळं आहे त्याच्यानंतर एक सापडोह म्हणून एक मोठा डोह होता, त्याच्या खालोखाल एक आंबेडोह म्हणून एक डोह होता. पाषाणमधले 80% मुलं ही आंबेडोहामध्ये पोहायला शिकली होती की ह्या गोष्टी आत्ता कालांतराने चिखलाने भरून गायब झालेल्या आहेत. हे कोणाला सांगूनही पटणार नाही की इथे डोह होते आणि इथं आम्ही पोहायला शिकलो आहे. प्यायच्या पाण्याचं सुद्धा तिथे एक वाकेश्वरा मंदिरातला जिवंत झरा होता. तिथे एक आड होता वाकेश्वराचा की जो अद्यापही आहे. हो, आड म्हणजे आमच्या शाळेच्या ह्याच्यामध्ये निम्म पाषाण गाव हे तिथे पाणी भरत असायचं. आणि पाषाण जेव्हा उद्योगधंद्याला लागलं वीट धंद्याच्या अगोदर, त्यावेळेला अगोदर पूर्णपणे शेतीवर अवलंबून होता की पाषाणचे भाव प्रामुख्याने एक निमनमाळा, कोकाटेमाळा वगैरे असे जर का विभाग पाहिले तर निमनमाळ्यामध्ये एक 2-4 सामायिक विहीर, एक IMDतली विहीर, एक वाकेश्वराच्या तिथली विहीर वगैरे अशा प्रामुख्याने कोकाटेमाळ्यातल्या 1-2 विहिरी, असा तो ह्या सगळ्या विहिरी वर्षभर पाणी असायचं. आणि ह्या केवळ राम नदीमुळेच वर्षभर ह्या नदींना पाणी असायचं.
रामनदीच्या कडेला सोंडमळा म्हणून आहे, ज्या ठिकाणी रामनदी आणि मुळा नदीचा संगम होतो, त्या ठिकाणी जन्म झालेला आहे. 1970-72 सालापर्यंत आम्ही त्या शेतामध्येच राहत होतो.
नदीचं पाणी आम्ही तिथलंच प्यायचो. नंतर नदी घाण झाल्यावर आम्ही ते पाणी प्यायचं सोडून दिलं. मग गावातून पाणी प्यायला न्यायचो आम्ही. सगळे अशी दाट किर्र झाडी होती, पाऊलवाट होती, तिथं पक्षी भरपूर असायचे. पाऊस 4 महिने पाऊस असला की बेडकं खूप वरडायची.
बागायती शेती होती, म्हणजे पेरूची झाडं, आंब्याची झाडं, चिंचाची झाडं, कवटाची झाडं, फणस,
की आंबे, जांभळं, चिंचा, बोरं सगळी झाडं असायची. त्यामुळं पक्षी खूप असायचे. फक्त पोपट, घारी वरडायच्या, वटवाघळी वरडायच्या, कावळे वरडायचे. मग असे 4 महिने सीझन पाऊस काळा असला की कोळी खोर लावायचा सोंडमाळ्यावर.
जोपर्यंत पाषाणचं तळं चांगलं होतं, ते पाणी पिण्यासाठी वापरीत होते, तोपर्यंत चांगलं होतं. पण ज्यावेळेला पाषाणच्या तळ्याचं पाणी पिण्याचं बंद केलं, त्याच्यानंतर ते पाणी खराब झालं.
आम्ही जेव्हा पहिल्यांदा तिथं राहायचं ना, ते जंगल होतं, तसं आता ते जंगल नाही आहे. एकदम असं वसाट पडलेलं आहे आता तिथं. म्हणजे असं जाऊन उभं राहावंसुद्धा वाटत नाही.
आमच्या पूर्वीच्या बालपणीची राम नदी आम्हाला जर का आमच्या मुलांना दाखवायची असेल तर मात्र संघटितप्रमाणे प्रयत्न व्हायला हवेत. सर्वात प्रथम राम नदीच्या ज्या गावातून राम नदी जाते त्या गावामध्ये या राम नदीच्या स्वच्छतेचं प्रबोधन होणे आणि संघटितपणे प्रत्येकाने स्वतःला झोकून देणं हे महत्त्वाचं ठरेल. आणि त्यानंतर शासकीय ह्याच्यावर दबाव आणून शासकीय यंत्रणेकडून ही जी सगळी नदीत सोडणारी गटारं, नदीत सोडणारा राडा रोडा वगैरे ते ह्या गोष्टी थांबवून प्रत्येकाने सामूहिकप्रमाणे जर का प्रयत्न केला तर पुन्हा जुनं वैभव ह्या नदीचं प्राप्त व्हायला मला नाही वाटत की काही अडचण येईल.
What we see at the back is a reed bed. It is a phytoremediation technique to clean the water before it goes to the kunda here, which is a sacred tank, which is also a very specifically Indian construct. But the problem is the population of Ramnadi catchment is about 3.5 lakh people at this point of time. And a wealthy city like Pune Municipal Corporation does not have a single sewage treatment plant on this entire river. So we may have reed beds, we may have children coming and, picking up garbage which the adults have put in. We may have college students coming and testing water with all the right intentions. But till the time that the river and the drainage and the sewage do not mix, we hardly have a chance. And I solemnly request everyone connected with Ramnadi Restoration Mission, everyone who is a citizen of Ramnadi and Pune, to pressurize the governance to have a sewage treatment plant. Sewage treatment plants do not take too much space. They are not too costly. They do not consume too much electricity. And with people's participation in the monitoring, they can be a way to save at least parts of this river.
Our next film explores the vital role of freshwater pond ecosystems and the efforts to restore them in Haryana, one of the most water-stressed states in India. Like many aquatic ecosystems in India, the ponds there suffer from pollution and neglect. But there is hope. Communities are using nature-based solutions to revive their vital water bodies, improving groundwater levels, reducing pollution, and boosting agriculture.
मेरे पास पटौदी ब्लॉक है पूरा, जिसमें कि 4 साइट हैं, बोडाकला, पड़ासोली, बिलासपुर और मौजाबाद। और जब से जो पहले स्टार्टिंग हुआ वो मौजाबाद साइट पर हुआ रहा। स्टार्टिंग में हमने जब यहाँ के देखा तो पौंड के तरीके से नहीं था, बिल्कुल सब कुछ डैमेज पड़ा था। गाँव वालों ने कूड़ा कचरा और एक्स्ट्रा जो भी किकरे वगैरह होती है वो सब कुछ था यहाँ पे। हमने आके यहाँ देखा, उसके बाद सरपंच से बात की, गाँव की सलाह मशवरा किया और उसके बाद काम शुरू हो गया।
25-year-old Vikas Chauhan has been working on the restoration of the Mozabad pond since 2019. He is one of the 10 chosen members from across rural communities of Gurugram in Haryana to be part of a pond restoration project started by the Gurugram-based NGO Guru Jal. Formerly a plumber, over the last few years he has been trained in the technical and traditional knowledge needed for the maintenance of revived ponds. Today, he earns 15,000 rupees as stipend for his green service.
तो स्टार्टिंग में हमने डिवोटरिंग कराई पौंड की, फिर डिसल्टिंग कराई और इसको सौंदर्यकरण के लिए करके मनरेगा से लेबर वगैरह लगा के पूरा इसको पौंड बनाया।
Developing a pond in these parts has become imperative. Take this Mozabad pond for instance. With 80% of its water made up of untreated sewage, it had been rendered unusable until recently. As a groundwater-rich resource, ponds have traditionally supported the agrarian ecology of the villages in Haryana. People use them not just for irrigation, but for livestock and other household needs. Most of Haryana's ponds, however, have either dried up or are polluted due to solid waste and sewage contamination. State government records reveal how Gurugram district is left with 120 ponds today from close to 650 back in the 80s. The problem of dying ponds, Shubhi K. Sarvani from Guru Jal explains, has been further compounded by Haryana being a water-scarce region. Reports have suggested how more than 3,000 of its 7,000 plus villages continue to be water-stressed.
The idea is that Haryana is a semi-arid region, especially the southern part of Haryana is pretty dry and arid and doesn't receive a lot of rainfall. So, and there's just one river which is crossing from the top of Haryana, that's Yamuna. So, Yamuna's water gets divided and flows via canal to the entire state. So now what are the sources of the water for the local people? It's either groundwater or it's the canal water or the water which is fetched by rain. So these are the sources of water, and typically groundwater, because it's perennially available, that's an easy mechanism.
With groundwater as the main source of water for these parts, recharge mechanisms are crucial. Rejuvenating ponds, therefore, is the first step in this direction. But in these parts of Haryana, it is not as simple. 80% of the sewage from the village households gets drained directly into its ponds, making these waters virtually unusable. And that's where Gurujal's interventions come in. Today we join Vikas from the Gurujal team as he conducts an experiential training at the Mozabad Pond site. This team of 5 from neighboring village communities have been chosen for a 2-month fellowship program. They will then go on to join a future force of 50 water warriors, each responsible for the ponds they have revived.
पौंड का तो ये है कि सुबह एक बार ज़रूर देखना पड़ता है, क्योंकि हमें स्क्रीन की सफाई करनी बहुत ज़रूरी है। अगर हम स्क्रीन की सफाई नहीं करेंगे तो हमारा जो WWTP है वो चौक हो जाएगा। जो ऊपर से प्लास्टिक वेस्ट आ रहा है, पन्नी वगैरह आ रही है, वो ब्लॉकेज कर देगी। इसकी वजह से हमें डेली देखना पड़ेगा यहाँ पे। और 6 महीने में हमारा टैंक का और 1 साल के लगभग जो भी पार्टीशन है उनकी साफ़ सफाई बहुत ज़रूरी है, तभी हमारा प्लांट रनिंग पे रहेगा।
22-year-old Deepak, one of the new volunteers, is a qualified lab technician. He tells us how this project is giving him an opportunity to be part of something meaningful while also earning money.
मैम अभी तक तो ये है कि जोड़ को कैसे बनाया जाता है और पानी को बचाना है और पर्यावरण के ऊपर भी बताते हैं इसमें। यही बताया अभी फ़िलहाल 2-3 क्लास हुई है हमारी।
For each of their projects, Gurujal's team uniquely deploys treated wastewater to bring up the water table, wastewater that would otherwise go unchecked into the ponds.
So we are using the perennial source of water, which is the wastewater, at the decentralized level, treating it and putting it back into the pond so that it's naturally recharged and goes into the aquifer, which is a natural tank, and then it can be reused for the rest of the year. So if you recharge a pond here, you can see the influence of this particular pond in the 20 kilometers of periphery, which is a common watershed area.
Using nature-based solutions instead of conventional sewage treatment plants, the technology here follows a constructed wetland system that needs no power to run, a boon for villages that face major power outages. The sewage from drains now gets treated through vegetation, soil and natural organisms.
So initially the water is coming from the inlet chamber, then it will first go down to the screen chamber. Then we have the equalization tank. From equalization tank, we have a baffle wall where anaerobic condition prevails. Then we have the filter bed, where the water is flow from sinusoidal manner and go to the outlet of the pond. So if you see, we have planted the kana, taifa and vetiver grasses over there. So the main motive about this is to remove the BOD, COD and improve the PS, TDS, and the nutrient removal from these plants is happening in this water treatment plant.
The pH results at Mozabad show that the pond system has been performing well and that its quality is good enough to be used for agricultural fields and for groundwater recharge, a game changer for the people here. In 2019, the groundwater table in the village was as low as 46 meters. Now, the live monitoring instruments show that it has risen to 34 meters. Sher Singh Saini, a landlord farmer from the region, is a happy man today. The availability of more water means his 2.5 acres of Bajra farm has enough water even during power outages.
काफ़ी फ़ायदा है जोड़ का। अभी 2019 में आपने प्रोजेक्ट लगाया, जो वाटर जो है ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट बनाया, उससे हमें काफ़ी फ़ायदा मिला है। तो वो जो गंदगी है वो एक वहाँ पर ही जमा हो जाती है और उसके बाद में जो फिल्टर होके पानी आता है ना मैम, वो जो है ज़मीन में जो है ना उसकी वजह से वाटर लेवल ऊपर हुआ है और वो पानी भी मीठा हो गया है। और किसानों के लिए मैम जो जैसे 8-10 घंटा लाइट आती है, कभी कभी लाइट नहीं आती, तो उसके अंदर से सिंचाई कर लेते हैं, उससे काफ़ी फ़ायदा मिलता है।
50 kilometers from Mozabad, the village of Bonsi is facing problems of not just groundwater depletion but also water salinity. This 2-acre pond in the heart of this densely populated village has sewage water trickling in from every household. These trenches have high levels of BOD or biochemical oxygen demand, which essentially means poor water quality. For 27-year-old Akash Raghav, a resident of Bonsi, it is a struggle to get access to clean water. While he buys water cans for consumption purposes, for everything else like washing, cleaning and bathing, he has no choice but to use contaminated water.
क्योंकि जी हमारे पास पानी का एक ही रिसोर्स है और जो मेन रिसोर्स है उसी से पानी आता है और उसका भी कोई टाइम फिक्स नहीं रहता। कई बार सप्लाई की मोटर फूट जाती है, 5 से 7 दिन पानी नहीं आता है, तो इसलिए हम पानी को स्टोर करके रखते हैं। आप देख सकते हैं कि इसमें भी है ना जो गंद पार्टिकल होते हैं वो आप ऊपर भी फोटोज में क्लियर आ जाएगा आपका।
The only source of water for the entire village here are these 2 tube wells installed right next to the pond. In the summer months, when the groundwater is scanty, these tube wells end up pumping contaminated water.
So currently this pond is around 2 acres of its size. It has a huge water capacity. The water depth is around 4 to 5 meters above. Like pond holding capacity is quite a lot. Around 1.5 million liters of water from the local community is entering this particular pond. But still the groundwater level is around 46 meters. So it's shockingly deep here. And there's a lot of solid waste dumping, there's a lot of algal growth. I cannot see a lot of fishes. That means the pond ecosystem is not viable enough to support fishes anymore.
The permanent residents of Bhonsi want a cleaner pond that will help them gain access to clean water. For this particular village, Gurujal has proposed its organic cleaning technology with some variation because of the space constraints and the type of contamination. They also plan to tackle solid waste dumping with the help of the municipal corporation. The outfit is hoping to bring up the water level to 100 feet from its current levels of 130.
The idea that we have at the moment is to set up a decentralized wastewater treatment plant using a nature-based technology which would treat all the 80% of the community's wastewater which is coming into this pond and then put it back here so that it allows much more percolation. Right now there's probably very minimal percolation that is happening. Nature-based technologies actually take a lot of space, but we'll go vertical in this case and slightly hybrid. So we'll figure out how to do that. So that's another challenge apart from, and it's because it is very dense population, so engaging with the community will take much more resources and time.
In April 2022, the Indian government launched Mission Amrit Sarovar, a national mission that aims at creating or rejuvenating at least 75 water bodies across Indian districts to overcome water crisis in the country's heartlands. In Haryana, Gurujal has so far managed to revive almost 20 ponds while providing technical support to the government to rejuvenate another 80.
के बारे में पता लगने के बाद मैंने काफ़ी लोगों को जागरूक किया कि जल है तो कल है, क्योंकि अगर पानी अब नहीं रहेगा तो आने वाली पीढ़ी को कैसे क्या मिलेगा। अगर हम एक गिलास भी निकाल रहे हैं, अगर हम उसको वापस आधे गिलास को छोड़ रहे हैं तो आने वाली पीढ़ी में उनको ज़रूरत पड़ेगी पानी की, तो काम आ सके।
Thanks for watching Eco India. If you like the story, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Scroll.in on YouTube.
One of the key factors in river restoration is purifying river water. The Ramnadi receives many liters of sewage, which should ideally be routed through sewage treatment plants, which is an expensive technological proposition that we can't keep waiting for. In line with the focus on ecological restoration, a reed bed was installed in 2022 near Someshwar temple to filter Ramnadi's water. Let's watch how this intervention was designed and executed with the involvement of students and professors of Modern College and Someshwar Devasthan Trust.
Every year we organize Ram Nadi Samsad, and during that Samsad, number of colleges and their talented students presents good ideas as far as Ram Nadi restoration is concerned. And I am proud that Kirloskar Vasundhara has decided to pick up some good ideas and implement them into the Ram Nadi basin. We are recently initiated second idea of reed bed, which is more innovative, and it will help the devotees to drink the pure water as a tirth, which we called as.
Here in the Someshwar Kund, what we thought is we can restore this river, or we can filter the water through the reed bed system, so that when water will move through it, it will get filtered.
This temple is Someshwar temple, and in Sanskrit, Soma means moon, that is Chandra, and that's why when the design process was on, we decided to use the Soma form, that is semicircular form, during the design. Actually, the reed bed site which you are witnessing was once upon a time was dumping ground of this area. When cleanup started, we decided to have the survey of soil over here, water over here. Especially the students studied the biodiversity of this region, the species available over here, and with the results of all these things, we decided to design the things. We decided not to construct permanent things at this point. Actually, the bunds which we have created are temporary bunds. Principally, we decided to have the eco bunds. For that, we selected the empty bags of cement, and in which we initially put some small particles of stone, then sand, and by constructing these things, we created these eco bunds. In between two layers of bund, we put small pieces of coal, brick bats on which the fine grain sand, and we put local soil, and on the top of this soil we did the plantation. That's why we are getting good results because of local sand, local water, and protecting the local biodiversity.
We have planted a species in such a way that the species which can accumulate more amount of the heavy metals, they have planted near to the first pond. We have planted some cypress over there. On both the side of these pond, we have planted these Canna indica, some alocasia, which are also having the potential to accumulate the heavy metals.
We were thinking about 2-3 different approaches to address this particular problem. These 2-3 approaches were to remediate the site, to purify the water, and to make it more potable, right? And to make it more potable, we need to increase the water quality, which can be carried out well by microorganisms. While doing the literature survey, we came across with different reports that were telling that microbes which are associated with plant roots at particular site, those are known to enhance the bioremediation process. So we focused on this particular thing, and while studying the plants, we also focused on microorganisms that are associated with roots of those plants. As this Someshwar Kunda is located downstream, we focused on upstream process more, so that we can expect pure water or improved water quality at the downstream. So at upstream, we formulated different ponds. These different ponds are having different kind of vegetation in it. So microbes associated with that plant will be taking care of initial treatment. In the second pond, we favored the growth of algae over there. Algae are known to remove the biological nutrients like nitrates and phosphates.
What we observed is there is change in the pH from the first pond to the fourth pond, and not only this, the previous reading before 2 months to start this project and the today's reading, they are quite different. pH is changed from 5.5 up to the 7.6. Then there will be the change in the turbidity. Earlier the water was more turbid, now the turbidity has become very less, it is only up to 1.2. And not only this, very interesting observation is when we have taken the DO before 2 months it was only 1, and now the DO, that is dissolved oxygen, which is very important character of river, is changed to near about 5.6. And on the same side, when we have seen the biological oxygen demand BOD, then that is also the lesser one. So these are some good findings from these results of the river bed restoration.
For degradation experiments, we gave this particular problem as a dissertation topic to some of our students. If we will facilitate more the participation of students in such issues, we will be able to convey message to younger generations.
During the subsequent visit to this river, we have seen a good biodiversity, observed almost 3 to 4 types of the snakes, a mongoose, mammalian, and there is a tremendous diversity of birds like wagtail, then small blue kingfisher, white-breasted kingfisher, even the cuckoos and the small shrikes. On one side, there are the very ancient built or the constructed area, but on the other side, there is a diverse plant species which are endemic. And being endemic plants, it's not only the plants, but there are also the trees and shrubs, so that it has formed an excellent ecological habitat. And even there is a great diversity of the fishes also. It seems that this area have a great potential and it will be a great hotspot of this Ram Nadi for conservation of the biodiversity. And Kirloskar Vasundhara have set a great example for conservation of the biodiversity of this area. Thank you.
The next film highlights kattas, traditional water conservation structures in Kasaragod, Kerala, and nearby Karnataka districts. These temporary check dams, built annually by communities using local materials, store water for irrigation and groundwater recharge. Kattas are community funded and managed, crucial for local agriculture and the economy, as demonstrated by farmer Venu Gopal's 15-year experience.
Karanikada bale nora battule Tarakaka sanere kirne palle Karanikada bale nora battule Tarakaka sanere kirne palle.
Chinnappa's skills are highly sought after before the summer sets in. He is often called to repair traditional water conservation structures, locally called katta. Like all check dams, a katta holds back flowing water in the stream or river and lets the excess flow. In the case of this check dam, however, it is the community that funds and builds it.
ಬಾಕಿ ಬೇಳೆ ಚಿಲ್ಲರೆ ಬೇಳೆ ತಿಕ್ಕುಡು ಎಡ್ಡೆ ಮುಂಚಿ ಹೋಗ್ಯಾರೆ ಕಜಾವು ತೋಟಗೂ ಆಡ್ಯಾರೆ ಇಡು ತೋಡಿ ಬಾಡ್ಯಾರೆ ಬುಕ್ಕ ಅದರ ಬುಕ್ಕ ಮಣ್ಣು ತೆಪ್ಪೇರಾಂಡು ಕಟ್ಟದ ಎಂಕಡೆ ಊರ್ದಾಗಲೇ ಮಾಂತರೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂಜಿ ಉಪಕಾರ ಉಂಟು ಪೂರ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಇರ್ತದೆ ನೀರು ಗುಣ ಉಂಟು.
It stores water the farmers need for irrigation for 6 to 7 months annually and recharges groundwater, benefiting everyone nearby. Kattas are a lifesaver during water shortages. Kattas are built with locally available materials like sand, rock, stones, and sacks. It also relies on the community's traditional wisdom, knowledge regarding the identification of a suitable location, preparation of sticky mud to bind stones, or using banana or areca leaves as coating agents, to name a few. They are constructed in November every year after the monsoon for the following dry months. Before monsoons in May-June, they are dismantled manually. Farmers come together, split expenses, about Rs 2 lakhs annually, and build kattas every year. They also manage their repair and maintenance.
My father, ಒಂದು 35 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ನೇರಪಾಡಿ ಕಟ್ಟವನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟುತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದರು.
Venugopal owns farms and has been supervising the construction of kattas for over 15 years.
ಈ ಕಟ್ಟದಿಂದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಯೋಜನವಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂತಹ ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡೆವು. ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ನಾನೊಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. 1997ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ತುಂಬಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ತುಂಬದೇ ಇರುವಾಗ 97ರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ 8ಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೊಳೆಗಳು ಬರಿದಾಯಿತು. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೃಷಿ ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಒದಗಿ ಬಂತು. ಅವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಇದರ ನಿಜವಾದ ಕಷ್ಟವನ್ನು ಹಾಗೂ ಇದರ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡದ್ದು ಆ ದಿವಸ. ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಕಟ್ಟಗಳು ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿರ್ತದೋ ಆವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ನೀರು ಸಮೃದ್ಧವಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಆಕಳಿಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಈ ಊರಿನ ಒಂದು ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಈ ನೀರಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೊಂದಿಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಸಮೃದ್ಧವಾದ ನೀರಿದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕೃಷಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಕೃಷಿ ಆದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಈ ಊರಿನ ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಅಡಿಕೆ, ತೆಂಗು, ಬಾಳೆ, ಕಾಳುಮೆಣಸು ಇಂಥ ವಾಣಿಜ್ಯ ಬೆಳೆಗಳೇ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿರುವುದರಿಂದ ಈ ಬೆಳೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಯ ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಕಟ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು, ನೀರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಈ ಬೆಳೆಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ್ದು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಆ 98ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಹೊಡೆತ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಸಿತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾವು ಹಿಂತಿರುಗಿ ನೋಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷವೂ ಕಟ್ಟವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಅಚ್ಚುಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ.
A few kilometers away, Berkaduvu Katta is said to store about 120 million liters of water when full. The 50-year-old Katta sustains around 100 acres of farmland. In fact, there are about 40 kattas in the Yetadaka stream within a 20-kilometer radius. The residents believe that Kumbadaje village is the birthplace of kattas. However, these symbols of human ingenuity are not unique to Kerala's Kasaragod. Water bodies running through the villages in Karnataka's Dakshina Kannada and Udupi districts are also serially dotted with kattas.
ನವೆಂಬರ್ 15ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ನಾವು ಕಟ್ಟದ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಆಚರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆ ಕಟ್ಟದ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯಂದು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಟದವರು, ಒಂದು 15 ಕಟ್ಟದವರು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗಿ ಈ ಕಟ್ಟಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಡೆಸಬೇಕು, ಕಳೆದ ವರ್ಷ ನಮಗೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಆ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಈ ನವೆಂಬರ್ 15ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಿನಂದು ಚರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಮತ್ತು ಕಟ್ಟುವಂತಹ ದಿನ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ನಿಶ್ಚಯ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ.
This annual gathering happens across villages with kattas. At other times, farmers also visit adjacent villages with functioning kattas to learn how to implement them back home. Several innovations and modifications to the design are also discussed and shared within the community, such as ways to reduce material costs or how to prevent crabs from making holes in them. Journalist Sri Padre writes about farming for regional and national publications. His efforts have repopularized kattas.
Maybe half a century ago, thousands of kattas were being built in almost every village. And once there is the advent of bore wells, pump sets, people started thinking very much individually and very self-centered way. Katta is useful to all the people living around in this area, and not only for irrigation, even the wells, all the wells, lakes, and whatever water level increase will be there in the kattas, corresponding water level increase will happen in all the water bodies around. So it helps the community by increasing the local water table considerably.
According to government reports, Kasargod's groundwater has been overutilized, reaching a critical level. However, the potential of surface water, like water flowing in streams, remains underutilized. While Padre and Venugopal's works have revived interest in kattas, they highlight the need for more. The number of kattas has declined over the past few decades due to multiple reasons, such as dependence on groundwater, lack of skilled labor, difficulty transporting raw materials, and issues in sharing costs. The government doesn't fund the construction of temporary structures such as kattas. It only supports permanent systems such as vented dams, also called vented crossbars.
The katta is effective, but actually that is a primitive method. Now we are doing more permanent methods. We have machine operable shutters kind of systems, that is regulators are there. Then we have kind of FRP shutters, removable FRP shutters, vented close bars are there. So these kind of systems are more, they could be used for so many years. The effect of katta is mainly it is not economical, because every year they have to rebuild the same thing. Once they are building kattas, after that year they will be breaking it. Next year they have to rebuild it again and again. So that will be costing additional labor and also cost. We have been using VCBs that were constructed 60 years ago. After doing some minor repairs, we can use it for at least for 60 years.
ಕಟ್ಟಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ VCDಗಳು ಏನು ಬರ್ತದೆ, ವೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ಸ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೌರ್ಭಾಗ್ಯವೋ ಏನು, ಕಟ್ಟಗಳನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟುವವರಿಗೆ ಈ VCDಗಳನ್ನು ರಚಿಸುವ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನೀರಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಕಟ್ಟಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ದುರಂತ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಅವರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರ ಲಾಭವನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಕಟ್ಟಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ನಿಲ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವುದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿಗಟ್ಟಲೆ ಹಾಕಿದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ನೀರು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸುವ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್. ನಾವು ಕೃಷಿಕರು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೃಷಿಕರಿಗೆ ಆ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸಣ್ಣ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟುವಂಥ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ತುಂಬ ಲಾಭದಾಯಕವಾಗಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಲಾಭದಾಯಕವಾಗಿ ನೀರನ್ನು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸುವಂಥ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
The sites are selected by generations, by trial and error. The site is so perfect there won't be any side leakage and other things. But when an engineer enters the scenario, a government engineer, generally the local practice here is that they will never consult the local community. They will take a unilateral decision. They will fix up a site thinking that they have the final say in the things. When a cement structure is constructed, every year the shuttering cost is far more than constructing a local temporary check dam. The shuttering material, what they use is generally poor quality. After 2-3 years, if all the planks shuttering material goes damaged, the local community can't replace because it's very expensive.
Permanent dams are good, not that it is not good, but while constructing those katta, even the agriculturist or whoever is taking the advantage of the katta should definitely get involved. So he will be knowing certain things which when he's doing from years together, he'll be knowing certain secrets of that place. But it doesn't happen in India.
We get 3,600 millimeters of rain. If we can't retain water, nobody else can retain water.
The Khatpewadi Lake is an important part of the Ramnadi near its source. Since 2023, the Ramnadi Restoration Mission has been taking steps to restore this lake with the inputs of various stakeholders from schools to local residents. Let's take a look at the activities carried out over the past months to restore Khatpewadi Lake. Butterflies are physical and chemical indicators of a healthy ecosystem and are very important pollinators. Besides, it's always a delight to watch a dainty, colorful butterfly flutter past. The Ramnadi now has its own butterfly garden. Let's take a look at how it came about.
किर्लोस्कर वसुंधरा आणि रोटरी यांच्या माध्यमातून जे खूप छान प्रकल्प इथे सुरू आहे त्याच्यात आपण एक ओपन बटरफ्लाय गार्डन इथे प्लॅन केलेलं आहे. क्लस्टरिंगचा कॉन्सेप्ट वापरून त्याच्यात जी फूड प्लांट्स आणि नेक्टर प्लांट्स असतात जी फुलपाखरांना आवश्यक असतात ती आपण इथे प्लॅन केलेली आहेत. त्याचा निश्चितच पूर्ण वर्षभर फुलपाखरं इथेच राहावीत आणि तिथेच ब्रीड करतील अशी एक योजना असल्या कारणाने या क्लस्टरिंगचा उपयोग होईल.
For this project, the Khatpewadi Butterfly Garden Park is again a unique example where the Mitra Kida, the Rotary Club of Kothrood, Modern College Ganeshkin and many other organizations have joined the hand with the Kirloskar Vasundhara, and very shortly it will be a best place to see the beauty of the nature and to learn the world of a butterfly.
This is going to create a very unique spot in terms of sustainable environment, and I am very happy and thankful to Kirloskar Vasundhara, LK Silicons for their contribution in this project, and आमचा क्लब याच्यात ॲक्टिव्हली इन्वॉल्ड आहे.